have right here in Lagos, we have in Ibadan, as well as in Abuja.
Yes, we do. We're looking from the perspective of the Not Too Young to Run bill, which was just signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday last week. What's next for Nigerians or Nigerian youth specifically? What should we be looking at? What are the issues? What are the highlights? And of course, what are the challenges? We'll be looking at all of those matters and other issues arising from that particular development this morning on the show. And of course, it is very interactive. You can be a part of this discussion. When the time comes, you can send an SMS or interact with us via our various social media platforms using the hashtag Galaxy Today. Let us just give you a bit of a snippet on how it went on Thursday at the presidential villa. We'll be back to talk some more. It's still Galaxy Today. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
These efforts have resulted in the heroic task of enshrining in law a reduction of the minimum ages for elective office in Nigeria. Eligible age for aspirants for members of the state houses of assembly will be reduced from 30 to 25 years. B. Eligible age for aspirants for members of the Federal House of Representatives will be reduced from 30 to 25 years. And C. Eligible age for aspirants for office of the President will be lowered from 40 to 35 years.
We're showing to the world today that we're a country that cares about the past, the present, and the future. Today, we tell the whole world that we're a country that says young people have a place in governance. That we, as a people, are interested in making progress. And by signing this bill into law, we make one bold statement that democracy has indeed come to stay in Nigeria.
The Not Too Young to Run bill is an affirmation of our commitments to democratic development and nation building. The best job we can do as leaders is to build the next generation. And today we take a step in the right direction. I am proud to be a member of the 8th Assembly. And as the sponsor of the bill in the House of Representatives, I sincerely appreciate my fellow lawmakers for supporting the bill and say yes to Nigerian youths. Finally, I sincerely commend and appreciate His Excellency, President Muhammadu Buhari, for signing the age reduction bill, the Not Too Young to Run bill. Thank you, His Excellency. God bless Nigeria.
This is a very important bill for the young people of this country. I really would like to thank Yega for what you have done. Without a doubt, this from the very beginning was your initiative. Both of us, the Honorable Member and I, only provided you with legislative support. You did the grassroots mobilization and you pushed this bill to this level. Congratulations, Yega. I'm very happy for you.
What would you rather be watching during your lunch hour? Galaxy Television bringing to you a program that brings you closer to social media, trending stories,
this agenda like you just read out.
breaking news.
There is nothing happening in Kogi beyond the government house that suggests that a governor who is responsible to the people is in charge of all.
Issues that affect you and family. The Bars, showing from 12 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday. It's entertaining, interactive, and buzzing. The Bars, the program that keeps you glued to your television. Music that says food of love. Join your host, Best Star and Ermi as I take you on a jelly ride into the world of music.
What up? Hey, 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 hey. When it's time to party, I'll be zoning now. I can feel it in my body, I'ma show it now. It's like a workout, I'm trying to set goals. I'ma keep it moving till the sweat shows. Gotta let them know, yo, it's party time. If you don't participate, that's a party crime. Pick a choice, chill, relax, or get like me, turn it to the max. Looking at the clock, still no time for hating. We're taking over, world domination. Keep it going, long conversation. We balling out, they all commentating. What it do? Tell me what it did. You're looking at the opposite of pitiful. Solidified, certified, validated. I'm with the groove and I stay dedicated. Shine bright, let it flash, then we make them watch. Get your mind right, brainwash the brainwash. A bit of this, a bit of that, get your soul awakened. Guardian of the galaxy, you know the station.
With your favorite artists live in Galaxy Party Time from Monday all through Friday from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Also,
all right, welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching Galaxy today, coming to you from Galaxy Television, and we're looking at agitations for young Nigerians come 2019 as the build-up to the elections, gather momentum. We have two young gentlemen with us here in the studios who will be discussing this topic with us here in Lagos, and of course we will join Abuja in the course of the show. We have joining us this morning, we have Ahmed Buhari. He is a presidential aspirant. Many thanks for joining us on Galaxy today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and he's closely joined by Dayo Israel. He is, amongst other things, a UN ambassador and, of course, a youth advocate. Thanks for being a part of Galaxy today, Dayo.
Thank you so much.
Good morning.
It was a great time to be here. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I love the fact that the Not Too Young to Run bill has been passed, and of course, not too young does not mean that kids under 10 can run as well. I like the fact that we have that platform. But
they can run for class captain.
But according to Tony Wolo, this is something that started like 20 years ago, and it's just an achievement now. But I'd like to start with you, Ahmed. Saying that you're a presidential aspirant. Before this bill was passed, it looked like you have already made up your mind you want to run for the presidential seat.
Yes, I just turned 40, so constitutionally I wasn't going to be restrained by the constitution to run for the office of the president. However, I did participate in the process because for me, this is not just about young people running and getting into elective offices. It's about young people believing in a process that actually has a provision for them to participate. You said the most important thing here is to understand that there's a reason why we're going to secondary school, because we believe we're going to get into university, and getting to university, we know that after university we're going to get a job. But when you have a system that doesn't make that provision for you, you sort of get disconnected from it. And that's why if you look at our people today, it's either you find young people who just believe in betting centers for Resolute, or you find people who just want to try and make some music, or people are not really, and they're up north, you find a lot of people onto drugs and things like that to just get high. The truth of the matter is that you have to engage this demographic. You have to keep them busy and believing in this process. Hope is the missing factor here. So I'm glad this has happened. You will see a lot of young people now trying to understand what democracy is about, what politics is about, and then try to start participating so that they will be prepared should the responsibility befall them.
Okay, for you, Dayo, I'd like you to talk from the youth angle. Do you think youth are actually ready to wear this cap?
Yes. I think we were born ready. The reality is this: the Not Too Young to Run bill is not anything special.
It's not?
It's not. It's not anything dynamic. It's just like any other thing that should have happened on a normal day. The reality is that if 1999 Constitution had not placed a restriction on the right to actually contest, for the life of me, it would not even be an issue. True. On a normal day, this shouldn't even be an issue because it should have just been part of the process. In was it the 1969 79 Constitution or one of the earlier Constitutions? There wasn't this restriction on young people's involvement, and that's why you could have, for example, a lot of young people in their 20s, and they're not even military guys. Leah Limoke was a senator at 30 in 1992. At the age of 30, in this same Nigeria, not from any other continent or another country, It was a constitution allowed it. But when the military were leaving in 1999, they wanted to get down and shut down the opportunity for the younger generation. Also, the politicians did not mind because imagine Liel and Ashiwaju were already were senators in 1992, and then they were in exile for the next 8 years, until 97 years, until 1999. Now, the reality of that is they were not around to be able to enjoy their youthful age, so many of that generation did not mind that limitation, so that they can now enjoy the age that was stolen from them by the military. You understand? So if the constitution that was existing in 1992 existed today, not too young to run would not be an issue, because at 30 I would have been able to run for Senate. Or any other young person, 25, would have been able to become a governor.
Okay, but looking at it right now, Ahmed, would it be remiss of Nigerians to think that things are really going to change? Because right now, before now, politics is about money, 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 money. Is this going to bring the new change that the youth are actually looking at?
Well, in terms of the dividends of democracy, in terms of better governance, not necessarily. So you see, age is not a function of good leadership. It has never been about age. It's about antecedents, it's about track records, it's about competence, it's about political will and readiness to actually deliver or work on behalf of the people. So, but now that this bill has been passed, there are still a lot of caps that I expect the Independent National Electoral Commission to actually start working on, and those things involve how to restrict the kind of monies that are being spent during electionary processes. Because if the monies are so humongous, we're still going to have the same kind of people who have always run the polity continue running the polity. So what I expect us to start thinking of right now is to see how we can have a generation of people who would understand that if you want to run for office, if Austin wants to run for office, and we believe in what he wants to do, we should be able to support him. And in trying to support an aspirant, it doesn't have to be you know, giving him monetary support. It could be organizing programs to let him, to give that enlightenment to the people, say, okay, fine, this guy's got something to offer, I think we should go this way. But there's something I've always said. If Nigerians want the kind of democracy that they deserve, they should be prepared to pay for it. Otherwise, they will be paid for the kind of democracy
when you say they
that
should
get.
decide to pay for it, what exactly do you mean?
It could be a lot of things. It could be you inviting me to the studio to listen to me and not inviting a 17-year-old guy to listen to. Because there are some of us who are just fixated on, oh, the only politicians we know are these ones, and we're going to keep inviting them. But the fact that Galaxy TV is inviting us today, and we fall within a demographic of people that a lot of people don't know. The people that we're going to be contesting against are people that have been in the limelight for the last 40 years, and people that have actually stolen our collective resources. So if platforms like this are going to be supporting us, this is the kind of support. So you want to hear from us what we have to offer, and this is paying for the kind of democracy that you deserve. Otherwise, some people will come, share some money for some people, they will collect those monies, and that is it. Because anytime a politician puts his hand in his pocket to pay for a campaign process, he's going to be getting that money back, not just as he spent it, but in folds, and at a return of investment time that only he can determine. So this is very crucial for us to understand. Until these things are set in place, then maybe we'll be actually supporting those people who want to run regardless of their age bracket.
Okay, but I'd like us to also look at this area. I mean, yes, it's good that the age barrier or the age thing has really come down. But the thing is, do you not think that our youths really need to be equipped about the preparation? I mean, talking about education now, looking at our educational system, and then looking at, okay, you are for the youth, so you understand better. Now, looking at the kind of youth we have, do you actually think that the youth are empowered enough to take up this new challenge?
The reality is this. The Not Too Young to Run bill, number one, doesn't even meet our expectation and agitation because it lowered the age of presidency. You know, the political tokenism. You know, let's give them something to talk about on the news for the next 1 week. But the reality is that he has not actually lowered governorship or Senate, which is still more practical for people to get into than, you know, the presidency. So you lower the presidency, that you know that there is no young person you know, except they have the support of the big wigs. Of course, I know that Ahmed probably is a Buharist, so no, I'm just kidding about that.
You better be kidding about that. You better be kidding about, because when we started this campaign in 2016, it was a time when a lot of people thought we had lost our mind. You know, why would he want to run for office of the president? That's a humongous office.
Why not even start small?
Why not start small? And I keep telling people say, where's the experience? What can he do? And I said, the experience required for good leadership does not have to be earned through a political process.
And where can it be earned from?
It can be earned from your daily life. It
From
can
the
be
private
earned from what you
sector.
do here.
Yeah.
If you run Galaxy, for example, if you run a team and you're doing it very well, it means you have some good leadership skills.
Just like
and your
Donald
ability.
Trump.
So again.
Just like Donald Trump.
And yes, exactly. And your ability to work with teams and get results is what makes you a good leader.
Yeah.
So we should actually remove our mindset from the belief that you have to be a chairman, a House of Assembly, a rep member, and because at the end of the day, the kind of experience that we've seen some of these people present to us are not experiences that we're really proud of.
Okay. One of the things I was also trying to say is that there's a lot of issues wrong. Yeah. For example, there's also restructuring of the country that needs to happen.
Yes.
There's a lot of other amendments that needs to happen, internal democracies in political party. So the bill doesn't fix everything, but it's a start. First, it is returning back, to the status quo. It needs to go down actually to the age of 18. Okay. That young people at the age of 18, you can vote and be voted for. In Malta, small Malta, you would not believe it, that they are actually now trying to lower the age to be able to contest to 16. In Malta, I was in Uganda for the Commonwealth Youth Ministers meeting some months ago. About 173 of the members of the Ugandan National Assembly, not State House of Assembly, are under the age of 32. Young ones, in their vibrancy, are the people not in the State Congress, but in the National Assembly of Uganda. So young people all over the world have what it takes. They're already running and leading nations. That idea that, yes, we don't have what... See, many of these young people have been able to build businesses. Look at taxi companies in Lagos today are pioneered by young entrepreneurs. Yeah. Digital companies...
That's the Minister of Transport, yeah.
You understand? So companies who are doing a lot of innovation in the digital space are pioneered by young people. And they're creating solutions. I always talk about this young man called Sujimoto, who is in the real estate industry, for example. Yeah. He's a young person. As a potential minister of housing. Yes. In Nigeria, look at what is building across the country. The Oni of Ife was, in the real estate because it became money, a young man in his 40s.
All right, Dayo and Ahmed, we'll come to you in a moment. Let's just go quickly now to Abuja. We have a member of the Not Too Young to Run movement joining us. We have Cynthia Mbamalu. Many thanks for joining us on Galaxy today. Firstly, we must say congratulations for this particular feat that was achieved sometime last week, as it is right now. What's the next level of advocacy? Because a lot of people are still talking as regards the cost of politics.
Thank you. And good morning, and thank you for having me. And yeah, we're actually excited with the passage, with the signing of the Not Too Young to Run bill into law. For us, the next step is to start engaging with political parties. Because it's one thing to have the law signed, it's another thing to have young people run and win elections. So while we have achieved the first stage of the advocacy, the next step is to start engaging political parties. Because if we don't have party systems and processes that guarantees youth participation, then it will be difficult to have young people emerge within the parties. So one of our demands is to even start having quota system within parties, 50% tickets for young people within political parties in 2019. The other is that we need to start having an open and transparent and party primary system when it comes to, for instance, delegate and the selection of delegates, because that is the stage where you start closing up the space for young people and even women to aspire effectively within the parties to emerge as candidates. So to start that level of engagement with political parties. But then for young people, is that call that young people need to become members of political parties, because that is where we can start proving our numbers and our strength, our registration and membership within political parties, and even our status as voters, because if we're not registered as voters, it's going to be difficult to vote young people into government. But for us, it's beyond just having the bill passed. Yes, I like the conversation earlier in the studio by one of the guests mentioning that we didn't have we didn't have all our demands, because the initial demand was to have the age reduced for both the Senate and the governorship and the president to 30 years. But what we at the end, we didn't have the age for the Senate and the governorship reduced. We just had the president reduced to 35. But we still had a big win with the House of Representatives and the State Assembly's age requirement reduced to 25, meaning there's more opportunity and a more open space for younger people who just turned 25 to start their engagement now for 2019, because that's one house where both houses at the State Assembly and the House of Reps. That is a place where young people can start making impact, because the legislature is the hub of democracy, and that is where the voices of the people are truly represented and reflected. So for us, is to start having young people get ready and run for office in 2019. And political parties that would not be youth-friendly would start organizing young people to also vote for parties that have created or that would make efforts to create spaces for young people to participate, to put in place positive measures that would increase youth political inclusion within the party systems. Because it's one thing to have a constitution, it's another thing for parties to respect and adhere to the principles of inclusion in a democracy. And that, for us, is going to be the big win. 2019, we intend to see more young people run for office, and we are hopeful that we'll have more young people emerge as leaders.
Looking at what the Deputy Senate President said, Ike Ekweremadu, he said that the age qualification for the office of governor was not reduced from 35 to 30 to enable the would-be governors acquire the requisite experience to govern a state. And quoting Ahmed Buhari here, saying that leadership is not until you have some kind of political pedigree, you know. Yeah. So, but looking at what Ekweremadu said here, that it wasn't reduced because they expect whosoever is coming for the position or whosoever is going for gubernatorial seat should at least acquire experiences. In your own opinion, do you think that Ekweremadu has a cogent point here, or do you think it's rather not me having the political pedigree whatsoever, it should just be me being able to handle an office? It should go beyond the political thing. What's your state on this? What's your take on this?
I think for me, perhaps we should start by defining what is leadership. If leadership is about understanding the challenges of the people and understanding what you need to do to meet the needs of the people and to provide for good governance, and I don't think it has anything to do with age. And I would agree with Mr. Ahmed Buhari, and with him and so many others, there are young people that actually indicated interest to run for office. We know that age and leadership are not synonymous. There's nothing that proves that as the older you are, the more better leader that you become, the better of a leader you are. There is no scientific proof to support that. What matters is that for every individual, when you have taken a position of leadership, then you must answer to the call of your people and demands of your people by meeting their needs. So for us, we do disagree with the Deputy Senate President for that statement. I actually read the press statement, and I felt this is just taking us far back to where we thought we had left, because we have already started appreciating the fact that there are young people in different spheres who are doing wonderfully well. There are young people who occupy different leadership positions that are doing well. And if you want to even look at the Not Too Young to Run story, it is a movement purely led by young people under 35-year-olds, mid-20s, that has become not just a Nigerian movement, but a global movement recognized within the continent and within the West African region. So with all of the work that is going on in different sectors, both the private sector, where you have young people who are already leading companies and yielding profits, there is nothing that tells us, that shows that age has anything to do, has a correlation with leadership. Perhaps the question would be, is there an apparent threat of having more young people in the government? Because we do know that power is not given on a platter of gold. We do do know that leadership is about capacity and competencies. And for us, is to start having young people that do possess the requisite capacity and that are competent and that are upright and have the requisite integrity and credibility to run for office and take up leadership position. It has never been a thing about age. And if it were a thing about age, perhaps we should start asking questions, because we have been led in the past years since our transition to democracy by leaders that are way above 50 in their 60s, and this is where we are. So perhaps we should start asking the question that if it's a matter of age, maybe it's time for us to try the younger generation to take leadership. Perhaps then we'll get more positive results, because so far we've not had young people take up that have been leaders under 35-year-olds since transition into democracy. And this is where we are. We still have major challenges in our countries. And what we are saying is it's time for more young people to come into government. That level of intergenerational discourse, we need to have that. We need to have newer, fresher minds with brighter ideas on how to solve the challenges of our present time. It has nothing to do, it has never been about age. It's about understanding what leadership is, understanding the people and how to meet the needs of the people.
Thanks. Cynthia Mbalusha is a member of the Not Too Young to Run group. It's still Galaxy. Today we are looking at agitation for young leadership in Nigeria. We'll be taking your comment and feedbacks in a moment, and when we come back from this quick commercial break, do join us again.
Oh yes, I have ability. Oh, you can see that I'm different from the rest. Like my Indomie, like no other. The way I cook is style and the way it is, like no other. Like no other.
In whatever you do and however you do it, you are like no other. Indomie, like no other. Indomie noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
All right, welcome back. It's still Galaxy today, and we still have Ahmed Buhari and Daya Israel here with us in our Lagos studio. We'll be joining Ibadan in a matter of a moment. But just before we do that, I still want both of you to react concerning part of what Uche raised, that you think it's a bit of a threat to the older folks in court.
I think I already mentioned that part of the reason was because, see, they know the power of the youth. The people who did the 1966 coup, yeah, were people in their youth, in their 20s. The people who actually took independence were also in their 20s and 30s. Yeah. As a matter of fact, Bode Thomas was the federal minister of, I think, was information or communication at 30. A federal minister. Today in our cabinet, there's nobody under the age of, I think, 40 in our federal cabinet. And those are the things that must change. We must open the space for the people who are going to live in the future to be part of the process for the future. Now, it's good that we've opened the space for the House of Assembly and the House of Reps, but it needs to be more than that. We need to begin to inject. And see, what they try to do is that they bring young people that are not qualified because of our agitation. They put them in position. Those ones fail and they blame our old generation. They tell us, what about this governor here? What about this senator here? What about this and that? No, but they're also vibrant, bright young people that can lead the nation in their own capacity, that can head agencies. There's a young man called Makokoye, who is the Commissioner for Finance in Anambra State. As a matter of fact, also in Cross River State, they're fantastic in that place. 98% or so of their state cabinet and legislature combined together are young people. As a matter of fact, I think the Commissioner for Finance in Cross River State is also about 30 years old. The Speaker is a young man, members of Parliament are young, and they're running the state very well. They're bringing innovation into governance, and that was why we had Donald Duke, the same Imoke who was senator at 30, Donald Duke that was governor at 35. This thing needs to spread across the country. If they can trust their young people in the West. How old was Amechi when he got into Parliament? Amechi was about 32 or so when he became a member of the Assembly. By about 35, he had already become Speaker. Wike was local government chairman at about 30. So they were, between Wike, Amechi, Magnus Abe, and Dakuku Peter Sai, they were all between 31 to 34 when they took over their state. And today they have become prominent. But the fear in that generation is that they are still enjoying their self, that they are here to have the upsurge of young people into that space to begin to compete with them. And they know that it's not just about money. So while the bill is on one side, I am not saying that young people need to begin to wait for party, like what Cynthia said, to give us concession and all of that. Yes, that's fine. I also believe that young people must go and work hard, be creative, be economically independent, begin to be innovative to solve financial solutions, so that you can also generate resources to be able to do things at your own stage. Look at the whole issue of affirmative action. Women are given 35% in some parties. For example, the last administration, 35% women were in the cabinet. But this was the challenge. Political parties that gives you form for free hardly gives you a platform to actually emerge, because they say you are not paying for the form. So while we are looking for discount on the form, it's also important that we can show that we have the capacity to actually lead. What does that mean to you? If you want to be able to tell people, I can pull resources together, I can create something in this environment, you also have to be able to show that you can actually even, support something out of yourself. To print a poster, this is not spending money on anybody. The practical of politics. To print a campaign poster, 1,000 copy is 65,000 naira. If you are doing A2 on nice glossy news or paper, I'm even talking Chomolu, where they print for cheap. Sometime maybe you can get somebody to do another paper for you at 40,000, 30,000 naira. That is minimum wage times 3 months to just do that. Now, that's not spending on somebody. The reality is that you that want to run, you must be visible. So we should not also wait. One of our leaders in Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, says, power is not served a la carte. As young people, we must stand up to say, I have the capacity, I have the vision, I have the network, and I can use my resources to mobilize resources. I ran for chairman in Lagos Federal Local Government in the last election. They told me I was young. They told me that I didn't have what it takes to become chairman. But when we began to unleash our arsenals, they came to accept that we had what it takes to actually be chairman. And we would have been chairman, but for our party internal arrangement. So, young people, I'm challenging my fellow young people to stand up and to, be innovative, be creative, and challenge the status quo and the system. Don't wait for anybody to come and call you to go anywhere, because most of the time when they come to call you, that is going to lead into a corrupt process. Because the people who they call who are not interested, look at what happened to us in Nigeria. Yar'Adua wasn't interested, he was called. Jonathan wasn't interested, he was called. How many results have we had, on that area?
Okay, let me try and just bump in here now. Ahmed, looking at the way politics is run in Nigeria and the issue of godfatherism and all of that, how do you think the youths can actually fare in all of this? Just in case some of them that cannot really afford all the monies involved, don't you think they'll be tempted to want to look for some godfather and play or dance to their tune, or some godfather would actually be looking for some vibrant youth to push forward?
To be fair to the situation, just the way Daya did point out, it's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be cheap from ideas, it's not going to be cheap from resources, it's not going to be cheap from creating those networks. But what I want us to understand with politics, I'm going back to what I said earlier, if Nigerians are truly prepared for good democracy, they will be ready to pay for it. Otherwise, they will be paid for it. Now, this brings us back to what you just talked about with regards to godfatherism. With regards to godfatherism, it happens because you want to run, you haven't got any money, and then you're looking for people to support you. And so at the end of the day, 4 men come together and say, oh, you want to run for the office of the president? We're going to give you 10 billion naira each. And you're excited. But what it means is you're not going to be able to perform when you emerge, because you're going to be totally submissive to those 4 men. First of all, they're going to recover all of the money that they spent.
The investment.
But they're going to recover those money at an interest rate that only they can determine. And at a return of investment time that only they can determine. So what does this really mean? This means that for young people who want to run, and we identify them, and we listen to them, and we like what they say. The only time I get people call me to say, have you got a collective account that we can put some money to support your cause? Is when people call me from the diaspora. The first thing they ask you is, have you got any account that we can support you? Because they know that back from where they come from, people don't dip their hands in their pocket to pay for campaign processes. Because if they do that, they're already corrupting the process of their, when they emerge, they will not be able to give to the people the true dividends of democracy because they've spent so much and they want to recover all of those monies. But the society understands that if we all come together and give this cause, now this person, this cause, 100 naira each, when he emerges, will he give us back 100 naira each? Will he pay back 1 million people back the 100 naira? No. He's going to give them the dividends of democracy that they ask for. So this is you paying for the kind of democracy that you deserve. Otherwise, you will be paid for the kind of democracy that you get. So with regards to all the things that Dahlia said, they're all true. And good federalism in politics can be eradicated. The people can become the godfather.
Yeah. Okay.
The people can own you and say, I did support you. But right now, the people are unable to demand for the good governance that they deserve because, first of all, we've allowed ourselves to be disunited from ethnic lines, religious lines, social status lines, political party ideological lines, gender, age, and all of those things. What we are asking for right now is to see how we can have a people that truly would understand that only in our unity can we demand for accountability, transparency, efficiency, and good governance from our elected officials. That ability for the youth to unite is what everybody is trying to dissolve. So when you hear that they're not going to allow the Senate come down, the governorship come down, it's totally because if they allow those things go through, then you start having young presidents emerging, young governors emerging, young senators emerging, and then the whole system would be cleaned up. But they have to create this sort of restrictions so that we don't hold on too much. But for me, it's a democracy, so when you demand, you don't get all you want. But the most important thing is that you got some and we keep pushing.
All right.
All right.
This is, let me quickly add that while we talk about godfatherism, it doesn't take away the fact that you can actually have individuals, entrepreneurs, friends, families, and loved ones to actually invest in your company. One of the things that would actually make me want to support you when you say you're young and you want to run for office is your skill, your leadership skills and your mobilization skills. So if you have it, then I want to see how you're able to mobilize the people who are closest to you to finance and put something down.
Okay, please, you need to hold that thought. We'll come back to you, please. Our Ibadan outstation is waiting. We have Barrister Wale Akirebi, a policy analyst. Good morning and welcome to Galaxy today. We're looking at agitation for young leaders. I mean, actually looking at the Not Too Young to Run bill that was passed last week. In your own opinion, I mean, there are still issues. People felt like the age of the presidency was reduced, but not of the governor, not the House of Senate. So I'd like you to just comment on this. With this whole thing going on, what is your own opinion about this whole thing?
Studio. I think it's a welcome idea, and I will first say we give credit to the Not Too Young to Run group, you know, that actually moved this idea. But when you look at it, actually, what is the celebration really about? Because it should be something that we just get without sweating it out the way the group had to continue to run after it. Because the way we've been running things is as if we do not appreciate the fact that the people that we call put in the category of then too young to run, that they're actually the tonic, for the economy, for the political setting and all that, they are very important to the system. It's not the first time that is happening to Nigeria. When you look at the First Republic, you see somebody like late Frederick Rotimi Alade Williams, at 24, he was a regional minister. At 28, he was also a minister for justice. That didn't stop him from becoming the first senior advocate. The references are there that he excelled, and so many people like that, The set of people that are leading us today, when they were in 25, 26, 27, 28, they were already operating at the national level in this country. So, that particular, those aspects of the constitution that, bar the younger people from coming into the system is actually not going to help us. The truth of the matter is that when you look at it today, the youth are the people running they are the steam of the economies of the developed world. You know, when you talk in terms of technology, in terms of advancement, in terms of everything. So we need to actually engage the youth. We need them to be involved. If it's about what is going to happen to the country today and we are planning for tomorrow, who are the people that are more concerned, better than the youths? So they have a responsibility to run the system efficiently and effectively. And when you look around you, you know, especially people that are between 25, 35 now, they are not even waiting for anybody. Their ingenuity, you know, their ability to create, you know, I mean, very creative-minded people. You see them getting results. So it's a laudable idea. It's very good. But I see that, you know, because of the way we got it, there's too much, you know, noise attached to it. Because ordinarily, I mean, this set of people, they are fit to run for state assembly, run for national assembly, and all that. Even the presidency. So what do they do there? Some people have gotten to the place that they actually were not even prepared for it. There are some younger people that are 5, 10, 6 years ago already thinking about Nigeria, preparing their dossier for if I have the opportunity to become the president of Nigeria, what would I do with it? So it's a very good idea that we got the results, and I think that our youth should be more encouraged. You know, we need to begin to build them. If we don't give them the opportunity to be in the state assembly now, if you don't give them the opportunity to grow and go to the Senate and all that, so when are we actually going to prepare them? Are we going to consistently be having 70 years old, 80 years old, you know, running Nigeria? Fact of the matter is that there are some things there today that the younger people knows well, you know, to rigmarole, to walk around better than the old people. So giving them the opportunity to partake in politics is a very good idea. Today,
Akinremi, but we'll come back to you in a bit. We have to take a quick commercial break, but just before we do that, I just want you to wrap your thoughts concerning the godfatherism that you were talking about.
I think it's important that we also realize that we as citizens must mobilize and support aspirants and candidates that we believe in, irrespective of their party lines or their religious belief. If you want a better society in the coming election, don't just look at what you want to get immediately. Delayed gratification. Identify individuals that you believe in, that you think have the competence, the experiences, and the good heart and empathy for the people who can actually deliver the dividends of democracy at every level of government. Okay. Nigeria belongs to all of us, and we cannot hold our hands and let the same thing continue to happen over and over again.
Mm-hmm. All right, it's still Galaxy today. We will take that quick commercial break, but many thanks to you, Dayo, for joining us on the show. We still have Ahmed Buhari with us here in the studios, and we'll be talking more on the Not Too Young to Run, and of course with Ibadan. When we return, stay with us.
Oh, this is me. Let me feel the way I do that, do my thing, oh. Do my thing, oh. I'm so unique, so unique. The way I dress and the way I just did dance, oh. Just did dance, oh. It's in my personality, yes, I got it.
In whatever you do and however you do it, you are like no other. Indomie, like no other. Indomie noodles, tasty nutrition, good for you.
All right, welcome back from that quick one. Barrister Akinremi is still standing by in Ibadan. One final question for you just before we go, and I'm also excited that Buhari is here. He will tell me how he intends to wrestle all of that, but let me just ask you first now. Okay, in all of this, we still have internal democracy amongst the various parties. For young people who would want to wrestle power, come 2019, and they want to join the prominent parties as it is, the APC, the PDP, and some other ones which are popular. How would they do so when they have to stand side by side with the older folks, in quote?
Well, I want to assure you that I am involved in party politics, and I want to tell you that, the majority of the members of any big political party happens to be this particular range that we are talking about. So they have the strength already. It's just as they were debated, by some constitutional provisions, that will not allow them to contest for offices. So, the consequence of that is that the parties will just be using them, and they will have to work on crumbs and all that, and give them whatever assignment they want to give them. They are the people that mobilize for political parties. So if they are in the majority, they have the chance now to begin to ask questions. And I want to assure you that presently, even before the Not Too Young to Run bill, there are people that exactly when they clock the age as required by the Constitution, they go for it. And some of them are able to get it. We had people like, I stated in the studio before, we had people like Saminu Turaki, Donald Duke, Niyi Adebayo, all of them, in 1999, and till date, people like Wike, people like Rotimi Amechi, all of them, they were much very young then when they all tried political offices. So it's still, even in my state, just over the weekend, a young man that won an election in the state assembly is just around 31, 32. He could have, been struggling with the elders to say that, okay, maybe I'll wait until I'm 40 and all that. So, what the youths need now is to project yourself. When you are within a political party, they must have been studying you. They must have been seeing your ability and all that. So people also study. So when they even see you that you have the ability and the capability to run, you have your support and all that. So it's not that anybody just going to drop it on your table just like that. It's not a teacup. It's not a tea party rather. So it's something that you have to fight for. You have to show commitment. They have to see that you are there. Now, a challenge that some of the youths, with brilliant ideas and all that would have is how to finance this political process. It's very, very expensive. I can assure you of that. And if you only rely solely on your legitimate income, it becomes extremely difficult for you to finance a political campaign unless we change things. If we change ideas in such a way that, political parties have subscribers. People that say they are members of political party today, they don't subscribe to any party. So when election comes, it is the candidate that carries the. So a young man that is brilliant, that has served as a student union leader, he has done well, he has served his community, in the vigilante group and all that, they know he's very good. How do we support such a candidate? These are the issues that I think the youth would have. But in terms of mobilization, in terms of having the numerical strength, I think they have it. And there is no party, there is no group, that will call the bluff of the youth. All they will need is to begin to work together. The youth group, with parties, they have the youth setting. They have youth leaders, youth secretary and all that. So let them begin to start their work from that. Let them negotiate. We want this. If it is 10, you cannot take everything same day. If it is 10, sir, let us have 2. From 2, you graduate to 3, 4 and all that. Some of your people that will be coming now, they will have been empowered enough to come back to also support their contemporaries. So it's very much achievable. And given the fact that we all know that the demographic structure of Nigeria tells us that people around age 30 are in the majority. So I think they have a very good opportunity of getting it done.
Mr. Barrister Wale Akinremi, he is a policy analyst. He joined us from Ibadan to discuss on this issue.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Lagos State was said the Lagos State legislature is not in support of this Not Too Young to Run bill. And you're based here. How did it feel? What if you're coming up for a gubernatorial election and a bit of this restriction? How do you think that can pose as a threat?
Like I keep saying, it's a democracy and it's a process. And the more we understand, like he just mentioned to me about it, the more we understand that this is a process, and when you ask for something, you don't always win everything. It's just the same thing I say with the agitators, for example. If you hear agitators from any part of the country, whether from the southeast, whether from the southwest, always try and listen to them. They all have demands. As long as we're in a country and we're staying collectively, definitely the people are going to have different demands and different wants. But the most important thing is for us to have that ability to come to a center table and say, let's sit down. What do you want? You may not get all you want, but you certainly will find a common ground somewhere. And this is exactly what the process is about. So when Lagos State rejected this, I found it interesting for the democracy. So it just means that more young people within the Lagos State setting should be thinking, if the system within Lagos rejected this, what remedy or what should we do to make them understand that we do have the capacity to run the show here in Lagos State? But for me, on a general level, because in the last 2 years we've been across the country, I think there are a lot of young people. I think if we want this to succeed, because at the end of the day, it's the Nigerian people that actually come first, in my own opinion, we must be ready to see how we can have a collaborative effort, not just from the old, not just from the young, but from everybody, men, women, old, young. Because at the end of the day, we just want a representation of the different demographics so that when we are passing bills, when we are making laws, it is for the generality of the people. It doesn't make any sense when people with an average age of 68 in the National Assembly decide what policies would run a generation of people that are mostly below 30. You don't understand their wants, you don't understand their needs, their values have changed from yours, and these things have gotten to be taken into consideration.
All right, Ahmed, the same question I asked Barrister Wale Akinwumi. You are contesting, you're vying for the presidency come next year.
Yes.
You're yet to choose a political party.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's one case. So right now, thinking of choice and the big names and the big parties, how well do you think young people would fare when it comes to competing with the older folks? Because a whole lot of people are actually joining or promoting new parties just because they don't want to stand shoulder to shoulder with the older folks in this mega parties.
You're correct, Austin. You see, the thing here is we have to understand the processes and what can actually give us the desired results. A lot of us, when it comes to politics, we allow sentiments and emotions be cloud our thinking processes. But politics does not need all of that. What politics is really about is calculations. How can I mobilize? What can I put together to help me receive this desired result? So with regards to we have 68 political parties right now. And for me, I think it's a huge distraction because at the end of the day, I still go to TV houses where at the back of my background, the backdrop, you just see two political party logos. There's the APC here on one side and the PDP on the other side. So this is the mindset that the people already, constrained to. And if you now look at these new political parties, it's either they have an office in Abuja or they have another one in Lagos. And that's just about it. And I called my people because what we did when we started this, we decided to build a structure, the reformation, and that we exist in all the 36 states of the country. So I decided to call, when I'm here in the office in Lagos and I receive people who come to my office to say, excuse me, we want you to come and join our party. Our party is the best party. And I said, okay, hold on. I'm going to call my state director in Yobe State and ask him if they've ever heard of your party. He said, no, we've never heard of that party before. I called someone else in Benue. Have you ever heard of this party? No, we haven't heard of this party. The point I'm trying to make here is it is really expensive to build parties and it takes a lot of time to drive the mentality into the people. So what is most important for us to understand now is as opposed to, breaking our little strengths into little different boxes, I would think we'll come together collectively and push our forces into a structure that has been built with our collective resources and with a lot of time. At the end of the day, what I think would really, give us the kind of victory that we deserve is to see how we can actually leverage on one of those platforms that have got a grassroots structure that we can leverage upon. Other than that, I don't know how some of these new platforms can give us the desired result. However, I think it's important that we all work together to see how we can get these things happen.
Okay, like Dayo, Dayo mentioned earlier, some of the politicians we have now started early, now they are old and they just refuse to leave. And do you not think that could pose as a threat when we have youth come into power and they say power is intoxicating? When you go grey and wrinkle.
And to add to what Uche said, rightfully, they started when they were young and they've been there for forever. And they had the same ideology that most of the youths now canvassing and campaigning, but somehow down the line seemingly changed them, and they went the other way, contrary to what they had promised to do. Don't you see this changing with the youth over time?
So if you look at our democracy from 1999, the Third Republic, you can tell very clearly that the performance or the output level is actually diminishing.
Yes.
This is because as we go by the day, these same people are actually, like you said, intoxicated with power, unfortunately run out of ideas, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Yes, we understand that these things are going to pose a threat, but when it comes to politics, nobody should think that it's going to be a tea party. Nobody should think that it's not a problem or you're going to get it easy peasy. You would have to fight for it. You would have to push for it. And what we are hoping for is that with the security forces that we have, with the intelligence force that we have, they will ensure that the system remains as sane as possible through this process.
All right, just before we go, let us take one or two comments from our viewers who have sent in messages. Good morning, let our elders give the youth some chance to be in the leadership because youth holds leadership and they know what they are talking about when it comes to boldness, creativity, and others. Can you guys also talk about individual candidacy? I was thinking it's part of the agitation of the Not Too Young to Run because without this, the signing is just fraud. Young or old, the same thieves will continue. Okay, I didn't really get what that meant. Let the youth unite and work towards 2023. It's not even saying 2019. All right, just quickly in a few seconds, he talked about the place of individual candidacy. How do you see all of that?
Independent candidates.
Independent candidates.
No, for me, I don't think an independent candidate can crack it because Nigeria is massive, and the grassroots structure is what can give you the desired results. So let's not fool ourselves. We definitely need a platform, but a platform that's got a strong grassroots presence, and we would have to leverage upon it to get our people knowing what we're talking about. So there are some parties that exist that no matter what you say, no matter how you scream, your voice doesn't go beyond where you are because the platform just hasn't got that spread across the country. We need those platforms to come and start looking at actually, embracing the youth presence and hopefully giving them the kind of results that we
All right, well said. That as much as we can take on the show this morning. We've been looking at the agitation for young leaders, a corollary to the signing of the Not Too Young to Run bill by President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday, May 31. All right, many thanks to Ahmed Buhari, presidential aspirant who joined us here in Lagos.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And of course, to Daya Israel, you're an ambassador, youth advocate. Thank you so much. We also have from Abuja, Cynthia Mbamalu, member, #NotTooYoungTorun group, as well as a barrister, Wale Akinremi, policy analyst from Ibadan in Oyo State. Thank you so much for being part of the program. And to you out there who sat back to enjoy the program, remember that if you want to win tickets to go see the movie, Avenger, all you just have to do is take a picture of you watching Galaxy, a selfie of you, and then of course tag at Galaxy Television, at Coca-Cola, and at Media Reach to win tickets or just a ticket to go see the movie. We'll do this same time again tomorrow.
Yes, we will. Tomorrow promises to be very, very, very exciting because we will be bringing you something equally as interesting to discuss on the show. Just maybe Uche might be contesting for the governorship of our state come 2019. My name is Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for being a part of the show. Uche, you're smiling.